This bridge links the two parts of the town of Enniscorthy, and on the far side of the river there's the 12th century Norman castle, and above it the spire of the Catholic cathedral. Further across, the Protestant church high on the town, and down below near the river in the low ground, buildings which give a clue to the industry of these parts, the mills and the malt houses.
Vinegar Hill, or the pleasant Slaney, where our heroes vainly stood back to back. From the heart of the town, we look across the river to the sloping hillside where the last fatal battle of '98 was lost for the want of leaders. Norman stronghold and rebel camp face each other, both symbols of past greatness. The visitor's first impression is of a thriving prosperity. The town has charm and character, and the people obviously take pride in its appearance. The unusual names are a reminder of the long succession of plantations in County Wexford from Norman times onwards. A man whose family has been here for 5 generations is Andy Doyle. He has a wide range of business interests, including a dance hall and a cinema.
Well, you're a man who believes in getting things done. Is there much scope for private enterprise in this town?
Well, personally, I think there's quite an amount of scope in the town. We're open for new industries.
Everyone says this.
And I feel that if we go off the beaten track, due now to the new ferry service from England via Rosslare, there's quite a lot of cars during the tourist season going through, that if we put in a modern deluxe caravan size with proper facilities, I think it would be a big advantage to the town of Enniscorthy.
But that's the very thing now. People come up with ideas like this, but I've heard it said that while the people of Enniscorthy are willing to go ahead, are good workers and so on, that people who will get these things started are missing.
Well, you have a point there. I feel that the people in Enniscorthy need more business leadership. And my feeling on the matter is that a lot of the Enniscorthy people, the real Enniscorthy old people, are gone out of the town. And over the last 20 years, the town is now made up of a lot of new business people who I believe have not really got the interest of the town at heart. And I feel that if they got together and put their brains together, we could do something about it.
Another enterprising young man is John Foley.
What's this you're at, John?
It's doweling. I'm doweling the frames of some sink units together.
Is this the kind of thing you make?
Oh yes, mostly sink units. Sink units and kitchen units. And
Is there a big demand for them around here?
well, quite a good demand, yes. A lot of people get stuff made to order, you see, and they can't buy it at they're usually a regular size in the shops, you know, and when they want something
Out of the ordinary?
out of the ordinary, they come along to me and I make it for them.
Well, you're an independent man. You have your little factory here right beside your house.
Well, it is comfortable, all right. I branched out, gave up working for other people and decided to work for myself about 18 months ago, so I just come out here.
Well, is there any future for the small man, do you think?
Probably for a year or so, but then it's a case of get bigger or get out.
Which are you going to do?
Well, I certainly hope I get bigger.
John feels confident of his future here. Tara Keenan feels differently.
Tara Keenan, you were born and bred here in Enniscorthy, and you're off to the United States today, I believe.
Yes, that's right.
Emigrating, in fact.
Yes.
Why are you going over?
Well, it's a great opportunity. I can get some training over there for whichever I'd like to come back maybe to Ireland with, which you can't get here.
In what line?
Advertising preferably.
Did you consider working here rather than going away?
Well, I did, but you just can't. I mean, there's not that many openings for young girls now without any particular qualifications.
What age are you?
Just 19.
Have you worked here at all?
No.
What was Enniscorthy like as a town to grow up in? Did you enjoy yourself?
Well, from the point of view of people, I enjoyed myself, and amusement, maybe not so much. There's not that much of it, but it's quite easy to make your own enjoyment around here.
Do you think you'll be homesick?
Oh, probably, most likely.
Well, the best of luck in America.
Thank you very much, John.
Huh? Good luck, Tara.
Thank you.
Only one factory has opened in the town in recent years. It was started by Frank Forbes.
You've been connected with industry in Enniscorthy all your working life. It strikes me that industry is a bit static here.
Yes, I think that is quite true. The industries that are here are doing very well, but mostly dependent on agricultural produce, which they process, such as wheat into flour, barley, malting, and that kind of thing.
Well, there's need to add to this now.
There certainly is, yes.
You've done something about this in this new factory of yours.
Well, I've tried to do something. We have, the idea of this originally started when my wife and I were on holiday on a cruise at the Canary Islands. We met the owner of a large English factory which produced prefabricated buildings of different types. And discussing this with him, we're interested in the idea of starting a similar type of concern here.
What's the labor pool like here?
Quite good.
There is unemployment, in other words.
There's unemployment, and the type of men that we want doing carpentry and concrete work are certainly there.
How many do you employ here now?
We employ about 25, but we hope to build this up to about 200 gradually as we get going.
Do you know of any other plans for industry for the town?
Yes, there is a textile industry which is getting on the way also.
So there is some hope for the future?
There certainly is, yes.
Well, what do you think, Harry? Will you give me an estimate?
Well, I think we'll be able to make a little look like a lot.
You've worked on better crops than this, I'd imagine.
Well, bigger ones, but then all great men are slightly thin on top, you know.
Have you seen much change in the trade, in the hairdressing trade in the town in the last few years?
Oh, yes, the whole trade is actually revolutionized.
In what way?
Well, years ago, 10, 15 years ago, shaving was all the rage. Hair cutting was the sideline. Well, now, shaving is extinct, actually, and styling is taking over from hairdressing.
Styling? It's not the short back and sides anymore.
No, not the short back and sides anymore. The styling gives a greater variety of
But who gets it? Just the chaps who are the lady killers of the town?
Oh, no. In actual fact, the country lads, I'd say, are among the majority of our customers. They've got the money and they've got the time and they do knock around. And they are very hair conscious now.
Does this reflect a social change, would you say?
Oh, very much so, yes, because the difference between the towns lad and the country lad years ago was very, very marked insofar as the country lad was the backward one. Well, now with the advent of Macra Ferrum and Macra Natu and all these...
They're catching up.
They're passing us out in actual fact, yes. If the towns lads are not careful, the country boys will pass them out.
What about social life in this town? You're a young man. Do you enjoy the life here?
Oh, yes. I mean, if one gets into the social life of the town, I mean, if one is in a particular thing, for instance, in drama, which is my interest, well, I would say that one would need 9 nights and 12 days in the week.
Plenty to keep you occupied.
Plenty to keep you occupied if you want to go in.
Why then are the young people running out of Enniscorthy?
Well, it's lack of employment. I mean, most of them don't want to go, but there's just no job for them, and they've got to go.
It's not that the country town is too quiet for them.
Oh, it's not that the country town is too quiet. No, no. There's just really nothing for the younger lads of the town. I mean, that's proved. The church on Sunday, the age group 18 to 25 is missing, you might say. It's either the old or the very young.
Well, would you say there's a hopeful side to this?
Well, if we could get a factory, there is a hopeful side. I mean, they are very fond of their town, and they will come back. There's no doubt of that, because any of them you speak to, particularly my own age group, they all say they'd love to come back if they could.
It's not that easy.
But it's not going to be easy. A factory is badly needed in the town. There's no doubt of that. And if we do get there's been no new factory in the town now for, to my remembrance anyway, except maybe the blade factory. And that's a long time for a town to be standing still. And if it's not expanding, it's at least standing still, if not going backwards. And it's a tragedy to see so many fine lads going away. And they, after all, they do make the social life of the town, that age group.
Would you put many shoes on these times?
They're getting scarce now.
The horses are scarce.
Yeah.
How many would you do in a week?
You could do 9 or 10 in a week, that's all.
What about the old days?
Oh, the old year, there could be 5 or 6 of them there, queued up every day.
Was there any future in this for you?
There is. There'll be wrought iron work and electric welding and things like that.
Of course, there'll always be a few horses, hunters.
Indeed there will.
Carly Arms, this pottery at Carly's Bridge has been here a very long time, I think.
Yes, I believe it's in my family for about 300 years. We've been making flower pots here for about 300 years.
Direct line?
Direct line. The Carleys started this 1659, they say.
They must have been Cromwellians, judging
Cromwellians,
by their name.
yes. And they introduced the flower pots to Ireland.
How do they get these
Carleys.
flower pots around? They're very bulky objects.
Well, of course, nowadays they travel by rail, by lorry. In my great-grandfather's time, he and his brother used to load up a dray and set off for the 2-horse dray and go around the big houses, gardens, and sell their few pots and come back, load it up again. Just it was always a family business. It just.
How many men do you employ here, Mr. Arms?
Well, we have 18 at the moment. It varies it varies seasonally, somewhat, but we've 18 just now.
No, I ask because we've had conflicting reports about the state of employment in Enniscorthy. What would your views be?
Well, of course, you always have some unemployment, and you must have many that are not really suitable for the type of employment which is offered.
You have this everywhere, of course.
You have this everywhere, and I don't think that
But what about this preponderance of women who are working?
Of course, you have the cases of men on the dole doing the shopping, minding the children while the women folk are at work.
It's very bad.
And I think this is a very bad thing, and psychologically and socially it is a bad thing.
Do you see this being perpetuated here?
Well, we're starting a new factory just now, and in the near future there's a new factory to start here to employ practically entirely women. And we need a factory to employ men, not women.
During one winter's gale, this bridge almost disappeared under the rising river which flooded the streets on either side. The people talk proudly of how every section of the community helped in the emergency. Father Scallon was chairman of the relief meeting.
In 1965, in November, we had a very serious flood here, which demonstrated the wonderful Christian unity of the people.
In what way?
In the way that they contributed money for this, to help these people in need. They gave a contribution of over £2,500 in that time.
This was private individuals?
Private individuals from everybody, the business people and the private individuals of the town. And they provided meals and new flooring and so forth.
So in fact the disaster brought the town together, really?
Brought a great blessing to the town, right?
You're very interested in this folk museum up in the hill.
Yes, the late Father Ransom founded that in 1962, and all the material in it has been accumulated, you may say, from the whole county. But there's at least 16,000 people gone through it this summer already.
What about social work in this district?
Well, I think it's a wonderful town for social work. You have, first of all, we have a very big youth club here, which deals for boys and girls, which has been very successful over the last
Someone told me you're very much concerned with this personally.
I am, and I'm very fond of the young people.
You have a big membership now?
Very big membership, about 450.
What other aspects of social work?
We have also in this, what we call the penny bank, which enables every person in the town to save and successful. We've also a group dealing with the problems of old people in the town, and they provide, about 10 people provide free dinners for old people living on their own every day.
Father Scallon spoke of the folk museum. These signs are one form of folk art which still flourishes in Enniscorthy. And looking for the man with the artistic touch, we found Colum Breen, master of many trades.
What's this then, Colum?
Well, that's an old cannonball from some battlefield. Oliver Cromwell brought a lot of those in here years ago. You never called for them.
A lot of them found around the county, are there?
Quite a lot of them, and a lot of them would have been used on Vinegar Hill in '98.
How long have you been here in this business?
Well, my grandfather founded this business in 1883.
As a coach works, yes.
And of course, up to the First World War, coach building was the #1 trade. But after that, the horse began to die off, and it moved over then into the general woodwork and ironwork and painting and decorating.
So you do many trades here?
Oh, we do. We cater for almost everything in wood.
Well, who's the boss here, are you?
No, my father is the boss here. He runs the place now. But I handle the painting and decorating end.
Tell us about what goes on in the workshops here.
Well, we cater for all types of woodwork, joinery, and shop fitting, and ironwork, wrought ironwork. We have the bandsaws, planer and thicknesser, and circular saws. We do quite a lot of work on the town, shop fronts, and Sammy Welch and we cater for the sign writing in the town.
Johann Sebastian, a great favourite, I suppose.
Oh, yes, indeed.
Do you have much cultural activity here?
We have a branch of, we've many societies. We've a branch of Pax Romana.
It's the Graduate Society.
That's right, yes. And attached to that there's a study circle, which runs all through the winter.
What else?
We have Recorded Music Society, French Circle.
Well, do people take an interest in these? Do you have enough members?
Well, not really in the language classes, but Pax Romana is a very big society here. We have well over 100 members.
And what do you lack more than anything else?
Well, I'd like to see some of the societies we had before back. We had a film society, which was very good, and we had a county orchestra.
Well, of course, you have a band here in the town, don't you?
Oh, we have a band, all right, yes.
This is what, the confraternity?
Confraternity band.
Try it again. Ready, after two. 1, 2.
Across the river, at the foot of Vinegar Hill, the old district of Temple Shannon, named after the 6th century St. Senan. The Shannon, as everyone calls it, runs up the slope of the hill. Most of the old houses of the Shannon have gone, but some of the old people are still there. Mrs. Walker is almost 92. Her 6 surviving children are all in Birmingham. Now she keeps house on her own with 1 grandson. However, she still has very lively interests. I hear you're a great hurling fan. They were telling me in the town.
Oh, yes.
You go to all the matches still?
Oh, I do. Go everywhere.
Well, that must be very tiring for you, is it?
I'd enjoy it. Not at all. I'd enjoy that.
Well, what's happened to Wexford and the hurling? They're not great these days. They'll come again, I suppose, will they?
Me, Father Ransom and Father Cummins told me they'll come again. The will Father says, but I won't be here. Oh, you'll be here for I don't know how long. That tells me all this thing.
Yeah. Twice a week, the whole town goes to the dogs, including Harry Larkin.
Hi there, Harry.
Hello, John.
Yeah, good-looking dogs you have.
Oh, yes.
These are young ones.
All very young. Well, 2 race dogs, the rest are all just beginners.
Well, this is a great industry in these parts.
Very big industry. Most people around here keep a couple of dogs, and it's a very big industry with the farmers. Nearly every farm around, I mean, they're all bred for sale.
Not for racing.
Oh, yes. Well, they started. We have a very good local track here, like, and they're all more or less started here for export. You know, I mean, they have to prove themselves first.
You're a shopkeeper and publican here, Harry. I'm surprised there's no supermarket in this town.
Well, it's 100% agricultural town still, like, I mean, I think supermarkets go better in, much better in industrial towns. Like, this is a real farmer's town still.
You don't think...
In that phrase, Harry Larkin sums up Enniscorthy, a solid country town, a farmer's town. Our last question, as a town, has Enniscorthy merely an interesting past, or is there a future too?
Well, I'm afraid to say the town is dying. In the last 20 years, the town has been on the downward trend all the time, due to the lack of cooperation with the townspeople in promoting new ideas.
Well, I haven't worked in any other town, but it's quite good. I get plenty to do here, so I have no complaints.
I don't know. It was a very good town some years ago.
And what's wrong with it now?
Everything was everything was nice and cheap, and the people wasn't this poor, like, they weren't this poor-hearted, like.
Well, I'd say it's improving, but the fault really with this town is the people are inclined to sit back as spectators more or less and watch the world go by. And if they had, like in 1798, if they had leaders, an industrial leader to spur them on and get them in on the industrial field, I'd say this could be one of the best towns in Ireland.